Hi guys, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. So we're on Mariner's Star part 16? Yeah, part 16. I had to look to make sure. Holy moly. Yeah, part 16. So okay, I had to change things up just a little bit because when I laid it out in the living room and laid the things on the side, I'm just going to do regular miter. So if my diamonds don't match up, there was no way for me to get it right. See, sometimes I think things and then I don't think it completely all the way. So now I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to have Scott and CJ carefully bring it in because I have all 4 borders pinned on in advance so that I don't have to find the center and try to do it while I'm live. So I'm going to have them bring it in right now. And it's lots of pins, so I don't want them poking themselves like crazy. So I got to go. I have my ironing board as my hold the quilt top up because I'm telling you, this thing is heavy. So, and I'm not in the mood for heavy. So I'm going to have the boys bring it in for me, carefully keeping it open so that I still have my borders exposed and they're not folded under and tucking and so on and so forth and getting stuck on pins and everything. So let me walk around this section and I shall be doing this. And I just realized right now I'm going to wipe this camera while I'm on live. You guys, hold on. Looks clear enough for me. Okay, you guys can bring it in now. Carefully, don't poke yourselves and try to keep it open. Okay. So they're just going to bring it to me while I sit here and wait. And I'm going to move this doohickey that I have that I got out of the way. Hi, Justin. Hello.
Where do you want us to put it?
Up. I need one. I'll start with this corner right here. I need to start with this corner, so I'm going to hold it up on the table. Just put the rest of it up on here as much as we can.
Justin, the only one watching at this point.
Flat. All right, guys.
Do you want it flat all the way down?
Yep.
As much as I can.
It says,
Oopsie.
video says 1 waiting. Does that mean you need to approve someone to watch? No, unless it didn't go. I don't know. If you're be able to talk, then that just means it's live. That's probably why nobody's clicked on it yet, because it sat waiting for a while I was situating everything. Yeah, the boys usually don't come in the screen when they have no shirt on.
Yeah, Justin's saying you need to put a shirt on.
All right. So these are pinned right sides together carefully. See what I meant about.
Do I need to make this any better? Is this good?
No, just let it hang there. The pins are in it, so it should be good.
I don't want it to.
Man, I can't see that screen for the life of me, and I don't want to wear the glasses the whole time.
Just Justin. CJ needs to get some sun. He gets more than me.
That's what I was saying in my last video. He was out in the.
He goes out in the pool
in the sun, but he never puts sunscreen on.
He wears a jacket though to go to and from school.
Okay, so how a mitered border looks. Okay, so if these were open, you could see that they hang off like this. How a mitered border works is they're going to come together like this, and one is going to be a 45-degree angle. Let's see if I can't turn it the correct 45-degree angle. Let's get it right there. We're going to pretend. Oh, that's wrong anyway. They're going to come right here, and they're going to come together. And I obviously can't do that correct from here.
Cat.
You didn't even see it. But to start a 45-degree angle, we want to make sure that this back piece is out of the way. We don't want any of this in the way. And this one right here is going to come up nice and flush. And I'm going to start a 1/4 inch down. So a 1/4 inch away from the edge of the quilt top where you're attaching the border. Everything's going to go flat, and I'm going to start a 1/4 inch down. So I'm going to bring it over to the machine. I'm going to throw a little pin down here so that I can see where this darn. With this little foot attachment, I can't ever get the correct 1/4 inch. So we're going to make sure it's nice and flat. Everything's pinned. And I'm going to put this pin in right here at the 1/4 inch. Just so I can see where my needle needs to go down. Right there. And it's not an exact science. I'm just putting it in. Right there. Okay. Now I know where it needs to start. Take that pin out. CJ's being silly. Oh, you saw the cat? Who's that boy? Not tan. Tan like crazy, and so do I. Yeah, I'm always tan. I don't think I ever burn. When I do burn, it's always just the first burn of the year. All right, so I'm gonna take one stitch forward, one stitch back. One stitch forward, one stitch back, forward and back. And now I'm just gonna run down this whole side like any other border. Just keeping everything flush. There's pins in it, so the 1/4 inch seam. I'm gonna take the pins out as I go because I don't need them once they're sewn. I'm just gonna keep everything aligned nicely. And so all the way down. Trying to keep the whole project on my extendo ironing table. I'm keeping everything as flat as I can keep it too. And I'm probably just going to make my way around in an around type manner. Because everything's already pinned, so. Trying to keep it all straight and flush. Right there. Nice 1/4 inch seam all the way down. So this is now a 6.5 inch border. I have plenty hanging off on both sides. The first time I laid it there and looked at it, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to cut that end off, and it looked correct. So if the diamonds don't match up in the 4 corners, I'm pretty sure it's not going to matter. I'm pretty sure it'll look still really good. I can't help that. But the mitering of the border does make it look better. I'm making sure that I do not hit my tips. Like, let's see if I can open this so you can see. So when this comes up right here, let me get a little bit further so that I can open it and show you. All right, that should be far enough. So right here where this tip comes out, see, my border did not take my tip away. The tip is way over here. The border comes right here. So there's at least, that's why I cut it a 1/2 inch away from all of my diamond points. So that way I don't lose any of my diamond tips. Keeping everything flat and just sewing. Just like any other border. Keeping everything flush, nice and straight. Coming to another diamond tip. Should be good though, because it was measured. When I trimmed the whole quilt top, I made sure of it. It's nice to have an extra table to catch the project because it is quite heavy. And it's the best way to keep everything nice and flat. And the way I cut when I trimmed the whole quilt top, the way I did it, folding it in half and then folding it in half again, it's just a smidge off, but I'm actually accounting for that by, in some of these areas, the seam might go further, but I still caught a 1/4 inch. I'm just trying to keep it straight and flush the whole time. So I'm going to come up to this edge and I'm going to stop a 1/4 inch away. But first I'm going to mark that when it's flat on the table. So now that I have it flat on the table, a 1/4 inch away from the edge, I'm going to put a pin in so that I know where to stop. There, that's where I want to stop my needle. And now I'm going to do 1 forward stitch, 1 back stitch, 1 forward stitch when I get to that. One forward, 1 back, 1 forward. Break it, turn this whole thing, pulling that out of the way, so I have a 1/4 inch right there for attaching. When I finally put the miter in, it'll attach just right. So I'm going to turn this whole thing. Now that that's sewn, I'm just going to bring this flat first right here, moving this piece out of the way. And I already have a 1/4 inch mark, but I'm going to pull this up to it, keeping it out of my way completely as best as I can, but keeping it nice and flat. Bring this up to it, put a pin in right at that junction, because that's where I'm going to start sewing. I want it to be right there, like literally as accurate as possible. That's where I'm going to start sewing. Right there. So I'm going to take 1 stitch forward, 1 stitch back. Oops, I went forward too far. There we go. And sew on down this side. Bringing the whole thing this way to me. Looks so difficult. Wood miters are so much easier. Yeah. Yep. I don't even play with wood very often, but when I've done a mitered angle on wood, it's way easier. This is just a little bit more challenging. Not meant for beginners. Mitered borders are not meant for beginners.
Are you the one making that smell?
No. I don't smell anything weird, do you?
Do you not smell that?
Maybe it's coming in from the vents.
Justin's not the only one. There's 2 more now. Justin's talking about wood miters. Yeah, that's what I was thinking when she was saying it mitered in.
Or is it you?
I don't know. Maybe it's coming from outside.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
All right, I'm coming up to a point. Line it up, making sure that I'm not crossing, and I still have my tip there. I pinned it to where everything was nice, so everything should stay pretty straight. And I use my arm to move the quilt as I go. I know you've seen me do it. Pull the rest of it up here. Keeping it nice and flat and straight. At least my work area. The part where I'm sewing. up on another seam where I need to make sure that my corner edge does not lose at that point. So I'm going to just pull it out of the way, and I'll open it up right here and look. And I'm like literally at the tip of the tip on this one. So some of them were, like this one's not at the tip. It's pretty far away. So it's there. Hi, Vicky and Ampy. Hi, guys. So for those that are just joining, I am mitering the borders. I had to do it a little bit different because when I got out to the living room and laid it on the floor, my measurements wouldn't have been good if I would have pre-chopped it. So this quilt doesn't actually lay very flat. It may look like it in the pictures, but it's actually cut where the batiks are. And in the whole quilt, it's kind of where the curved seams are. That's where it's got a lot of not puckering, but wrinkles. Before this whole thing goes to be quilted on the frame, though, it'll get when I say heavily, it'll be heavily starched before it gets to the frame. So I'm going to come here. I'm almost to an edge, and I'm going to stop a 1/4 inch away, but I'm going to mark it with the pin. That way I'm 100% accurate. Get to it a little bit closer. Come right here to this edge. Find my 1/4 inch right there. And come right up to it. Take 1 stitch forward, 1 stitch back. So I should have a 1/4 inch exposed, and I do. So we'll fold that back out of the way. Turn the whole thing again. It's very awkward to do this without poking myself a bazillion times. Bring this side onto my lap now. 2 sides are sewn. And again, I'm going to start up here. Hold this to me. Hold this away from me. Kind of bump that up a little. And I want to come right in at that junction. Let's find that junction right here. I really want my needle to come down right where those 2 seams meet. Okay. My pin is in there. Now I know where my needle needs to go down. All right. There. Once the needle is in, I can pull the pin out. I'm going to line this up nicely before I take my stitch forward and my stitch back. 1 stitch forward, 1 stitch back, 1 stitch forward, and go. And when I get a little bit further, I'll show you where this whole junction comes together. And why it looks like such a disaster at first. So here's the 2 again. They come together. They meet literally right there. The needle came down right at the junction. So both these 2 pieces of fabric are literally touching each other with no room. That's why I did a back stitch. So when I go to miter them, it should be just right. And again, like I said, the diamonds will probably match up, probably won't match up. I don't know. I tried to lay it out as best as I could in hopes that it would all line up nicely. As you can see, I use my arm. That's why my arm is moving to hold the quilt top as flat as I can, at least on the extension table. Coming up to my first junction, and it went over nicely. I'll try to adjust this a little. It's kind of hot right now to have all this sitting on my lap, but most of it is on the table, which is good. on my ironing station, I should say, which is now next to my desk, acting as a table. It's really nice to have a big, huge ironing board, multi-purpose board. All right, here we come to another junction. Perfect. Plenty of room. I did my best to cut it 1/2 inch. You guys saw in video number 14. I did my best to keep a 1/2 inch. Even though I did square it more unconventional like, I still did a 1/2 inch away from all my points. I did not trim much off. And purposely I did that, so. Am I on side 3? I'm on side 3, I think. Okay, this is the one where I have a little bit of crookedness going on and I have to adjust. I knew that when I was coming into it. And it's going to fold over ever so slightly, but it'll help it stay nice and flush. So see, I have a little bit, I don't know how well you can see because it's white, but there's, I don't know, about 1/8 of an inch sticking out, and I just, some of it folded in, but that's okay. It's going to get pressed back and you're never going to see it because it's inside the quilt. I just knew that it had to be flush right there because that part wasn't cut so great. All right, coming up to the end again, I'm going to mark that 1/4 inch seam when I get to it. So I know where to stop. Nope, that's not 1/4 inch. I don't know what the hell is going on here, but it's not coming. That's a crooked one. Ow! See, pins get stuck in my finger. Can you see that? Oops. I don't want to bleed on my white quilt. Happens all the time. And I just grabbed that curved one again, that one that gave me a boo-boo. There we go, right there. Okay. One stitch forward. One stitch back, one stitch forward. I'm going to check it. Snip out that one little stitch. It went too far. One little stitch. There we go. Much better. Now I need to give it a stitch forward and stitch back. So I don't want it to come undone anymore, but I do want it to stop right where I just ripped that stitch out. There we go. Ta-da! Now it's nice and tight. Just fold that back. Put this one on. Turn the whole thing again. Find the whole side that needs to be stitched on. And poke myself 100 times. Back to the top. It's a good thing I threw a ton of pins in here. the way. I'm going to put this one, level it. And put a pin in here. Nice and flat, nice and flush. Pin in. Ooh, higher. Right there. That's where it needs to start. It's a lot of work, these mitered borders. Okay. Right to the edge, the pin is in. Now I know where my needle needs to go down. Right on that. One forward, one back, and go. It looked like there was another comment, but obviously I can't tell. Ooh, look at that, right on spot. I actually do mitered borders often on big, huge quilts. To me, it seems more, what's the word for it? I don't know, just sits better, I guess, on big, huge quilts. On the smaller quilts, I really don't do that often. It's a lot easier, though, on quilts that aren't pieced as much as this is. But you will learn how to do a miter for those of you who don't know. Oh yeah, look at that, right at the tip. I'm a rock star today. I feel like crap, but I'm still a rock star. Making it work. Now I see a new comment. Will you be sewing your miter corners, then cutting the remainder off, or measuring them out and then cutting first? You will see how I do it. And yes, I measure, I get it situated, I draw my line, I sew on my line, then I cut away the bad that's not staying. So you'll see how it works in a second. Well, not a second. It takes more than a second to finish sewing this on. But you'll see how it works with a quilt top as opposed to wood. Stay right there. Ooh, look at that. I'm going to pull the rest of these pins out. I'm having an issue. Most of it's sewn on, so it can't shift or adjust any more than it already has. But I'm being poked at my legs. Like a lot. As long as this stays nice and flat. We want it nice and flat. And actually, before I even do any of that, Justin, I actually press it first. Makes it easier. But I'll show you. last side. Yay! So obviously it's going to look kind of funky, but we are going to make it look awesome. All right, now that this is up here, let me put my pin in so I have an ending mark where I want to stop stitching the 1/4 inch junction there. I want my needle to stop. Nothing else is in the way. I'm really slow. 1 stitch forward, 1 stitch back. Let's check that. Look at that. Perfect. Yay. Okay. Shouldn't have any pins in, and since the table is right here, I'm just going to slightly tilt the camera and plug the ironing in, bring it all over. I'm just going to do it from this position right here instead of moving anything, because I still have one more border anyway to add. All right, so this is how funky it looks. Let me pull it down so you can see. So right now we have all this hangover. And you're thinking, oh my God, that's not going to be enough because this does not go to the end right here. I keep forgetting to look right here. And this does not go to the end right here, but that's in the middle. So technically they're equal to each other. So there's 2 pieces hanging. You'll see what's going to happen shortly. Let me press this all back real quick. I'm just going to press it back and roll it as I go. I'll get this little corner right here. My corners are like literally touching perfectly. Just the way I want it. Okay. I don't want to burn anything, but I need the iron out of the way because I need this whole entire ironing board. Like I said, it's nice why I built this table, this ironing board, because if you're someone like me who makes a lot of big, huge quilts like this, and I'm always make big quilts most of the time, these tables being extended like this and big, and it's just my regular ironing board with stuff attached to it, wood attached to the actual original ironing board. But it helps with big, huge quilts like this. Let's get this other side, far, far side. Make sure all this is going back, folding back. And again, I have all this hangover. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about pressing the seam for now. The rest of that gets situated in a minute. All right, so now I'm going to pick it up, throw the most of it on the floor, press this side now. Trying to pre-roll that seam back the whole way. Because I want it to be really flat around all these points. The only way to do that is to make sure that the seam goes a certain way. Hi, Teresa. So you guys can tell what the border looks like just like this so far. Absolutely looks amazing. I'm in love. You know, I make quilts like this and I'm like, ah, do I really have to give it to the person that bought it? I put so much work into this one. Okay, let's turn it again. And then the next side done. And there's a lot of stretching going on right now. For any of you who are curious, because it's so big and heavy, I'm twisting down here at the bottom. Because it's so big and heavy, it makes it awkward a little, you know? And again, that's where this table, the ironing board comes in handy. Oh my goodness, I couldn't get the word out. I'm stepping on it right now, so I just moved it. And it's getting one more border also, you guys know that. But it's only going to be like 4.5 inch cut. I think that's about the amount I bought the fabric for. I bought a little over a yard. I don't remember. I'll have to see how much I have, and then I'll know how much I actually bought for the cut. It also makes this whole outside piece, now that I did it this way with the white first, it makes it look like these are floating. You see how that works? And one more side. This whole thing again. Yeah, it should, but I'll ask the person that's buying it what she thinks, because she wants it on her bed for the winter. But I'll ask her, because I only would need it for, it needs to be submitted by October 1st with a hanging sleeve, but I can make a hanging sleeve, you know, where it can come off. It needs to be in by October, which this will be done by then, October 1st. But it has to stay with them until after, I think it's, the quilt show is November 2nd and 3rd. It's usually around my birthday. I'm pretty sure that's the date. And it won't come back until about a week and a half after the quilt show. So, I mean, I could ask her. She might say, yeah, do it, but we'll see. I'll ask. We'll see what she thinks. It would be nice to enter this, though. Then I wouldn't have to worry about all the other projects. I could just enter this and be done with it, you know? Because this, and then I don't have to worry about getting my other ones done on a deadline. But I still have 2 that'll be entered then, if I can do this one. Because 1 is already done. Like I said, it just needs a hanging sleeve. But I'll ask her and see what she says. Because this is a lot of work and probably going to be one of the most intricate quilts seen at the quilt show. Because last year's quilt show, there was nothing like this at all. And the year before's, there wasn't anything like this either. So this is a one of a kind. Okay. And that's it. All the rest of the ironing will be done after the whole quilt is done. So now let's do the miters. Let me show you guys how this works. So far this is what the sides look like. Let me hold 2 corners up. Get unstuck. So that's what it looks like against it. It makes it look like the final stars are just floating. Isn't that so awesome? But it actually comes up to right here at these tips, the border. So that's so far. Let's do these miters. I got to move my ironing board now for the cutting area and then put the ironing board back. Okay, so let's go to the cutting area. So that way you guys can really focus on how this works. I'm going to turn it all the way down. Okay. I do it differently. There's 2 different ways. There's actually 3 different ways you can do this. I do it a little bit different. Now, what I do, sometimes I fold these together, right sides together on the diagonal. Okay. I'm going to show you because there's 2 different ways to do this. Well, there's 3. I've seen another way, but this is the only 2 ways I know how to do accurately. Line these 2 sides up, create yourself a triangle right here. Okay. Flatten everything out. Make sure these 2 are lined up. Okay. So this is one way. One way, it goes together like so. You have yourself a nice triangle. See that? Everything's nice and flush and flat. Obviously, this thing is huge, so it's not going to be, this is as accurate as I'm going to get this position. Right there. This is the first way. Take a ruler that has a 45-degree angle. Do your best to keep the quilt top on here. You want your 45-degree angle, like so. You stick that 45-degree angle on your seam line. So this would be my seam line right here. Stick it on your seam line, which I can't with this ruler. Let's grab this one. Come up to my 45-degree angle because I need the length. You need a big ruler for this. On my seam line and along this edge of this triangle that you have created right here, this little area. So you line it up on that, line it up on the seam line, nice and flush, line it up on there, and then you take a pencil. Hope this stays. Take a pencil and you draw. Let's make sure it's correct again because I did take my hand off of it. Draw a line with your pencil from one side to the other. Okay? Then we're going to do it this way on one corner, and then I will do it a different way on another corner. Then we're going to take the pins, and I'm going to pin the crap out of this because this is so heavy. I don't want anything to shift. Just going to hold it really, really nicely and throw my really big pins in here on both sides of the line. I'm pinning both sides of my line. Okay. Like you could never put too many pins when you do it this way. Okay, so I have pins on both sides of my lines, and I'm going to unfold this little corner right here. Can you see that? This little lip. That's where I stopped and started my 1/4 inch seams. I'm going to fold that out of the way so that when I start sewing right here, I'm going to put a pin in. When I start sewing, my pin right here is going to tell me where that 1/4 inch seam starts so that I'm folded in. I don't know how I'm going to show this to you. Right here at this tip, that is going to have needle holding it down, thread holding it down. Let me put one more in here just to be on the safe side. So I'm going to do this 2 ways. So I'm going to sew this one first, and I got to change out my sewing foot real quick. And I'm going to have to pull this whole thing up here. 2 seconds. Give me a second and I'll turn the camera back up. I'm trying to do all this by myself right now, guys. So let's turn the camera up. Okay. So I know you got to be able to see that pencil line. See that pencil line? Right there. I can see it on my screen. So there's a pencil line that's running right here from that corner right there. And I have tons of pins holding it. So let me change out my foot real quick on my machine because I can't use this foot for that, which kind of sucks because the thingy gets in the way, but it takes 2 seconds to swap. Tighten it down just a little. And I'm going to come right here and turn this whole project underneath me where I'm starting on the most of the quilt side. And I am going to stick my needle down in that junction where I marked with the pin, telling me that that is where I need to sew. So my needle is down right there. Everything is lined up. There's pins, and I'm going to sew on that 45-degree line that we have just created. And I'm going to back stitch on there. Okay. I'm just going to sew on that line. And I kind of sew a little bit slower when I'm sewing on lines. And come off that edge. Now we're going to pull all these pins out because we need to be able to see. Pull all these pins out. So this is the first way of doing things. And I'm a retard. I just got an extra seam in there because I didn't check to make sure every piece was sticking out. I'll show you what I just did. It happens because I had two flailing ends. I just sewed that to it accidentally. So I'm just going to cut that away anyway, so it's not going to matter. All right, so I'm going to bring this back to the cutting table. Now I know you can see. I'm going to make sure this piece is out because I don't need it, so I'm just going to fold it out with it because I'm cutting it off anyway. Can't believe I just did that. That's what happens. Making sure everything's flat on my sew line. And I'm going to open it up just like this. Oh, and it ended right at the end of the diamond. Oh, right here. Oy, oy, oy. But it matches up. That's what matters. It matches up. I'll show you guys in a second. Let me cut this away. So everything's nice and flush right here. I'm going to fold it back over onto itself. And I'm going to take my ruler. I'm going to line it up on here 1/4 inch away from that line I just stitched. And we're going to chop this back part off because it's not needed. It's 1/4 inch away, all the way down. Bye-bye. My little extra piece that got hooked in there accidentally. So there's a lot of seam right here, but should be fine. No biggie. So let me show you. See what happened here? This color right there. Let's see if I can angle it right there. This color right there is actually at the seam, but that's okay. I don't care. They match. It's mitered. See, this is what I didn't want. This is why I wanted to pre-put them together, cutting an angle. But so you could see the miter come together right here really nicely. Comes right at the tip where I stopped. You know, I took a stitch forward and I took a stitch back. So it's perfect. And then the back side actually has that lip. That's an accidental cut, but I'm not going to worry about it. I don't need to even bother cutting it out. It can stay right there. And you can see right where they came together. Let's hold it as close up as possible. Every single one of those stitches right there, they all touch from taking that forward and back. That's the good thing about the pinning part. So one miter down. That's one way to do it, guys. So let's show you a different way. This way also requires pinning. So we're going to bring this whole thing up here, just like this. Okay. This way, got to try to keep the whole thing flat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this piece right here nice and flat. I'm going to come to this edge. Now this one is the one that you have to be careful with. But if you do it just right and everything's laying flush, it should work out. So again, I don't know how I'm going to even get this in here like this. Turn my angle. 45-degree line has to line up on something. My goodness, where am I at? Right here. Right here. Like that. 45-degree angle. I knew I was doing something wrong. Okay, here's the fun part. This one is just a little bit trickier. Lining that 45-degree angle up with the outside. This is, you guys are going to be like, don't do it this way. But I'm going to show you because there's plenty of ways to do this. And they come out just as accurate. Let's make sure this is nice and flush. Everything's nice and flush. Okay, find that 45-degree line. Line it up with the top of the strip. Everything's flat. I flipped the seam under right here at the corner. That's the way I want it. Now I'm going to take, when this is flush, my 1/4 inch line, and I'm going to come over with it. So I'm going to keep this on here, but I'm going to take my 1/4 inch line right here on the ruler and line it up literally at the tip of where that point comes together. So at the top where that point comes together, both those seams are laying flat. This top line is nice and flat. That's nice and flat. And my 1/4 inch is right there. Now I'm going to cut it. You're like, don't do it. But I'm going to do it because that's just how the other way works. Stay. All right. Oops, didn't come off right there at the edge. All right. There's one piece off. You're like, oh my God, you shouldn't have done that. Fold this out of the way. Making sure this side is nice and flat. I'm going to fold the seam under, even though the seam is pressed out. I'm going to fold it under just so that this lays flat, just like this. Keep this one out of the way. Now let's line this ruler up on this side. It's going to be a right-hand cut. Everything's flush, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put that 1/4 inch line of the ruler coming across that tip perfectly, lining this corner up here. So it comes out where it's supposed to. This is nice and straight. Everything's straight that comes out. Oh, I should move it just a tad bit this way. All right, putting it together. Everything's together. We're going to cut. Let's make sure this is out of the way. I want to line it back up because I kind of moved the ruler just a tad. It's right there at that edge. Cut that off. And that little tip. Okay. You're like, oh my goodness, why did you do that? Okay, this is why. Now, all I have to do is put these two together like this. Stay. Put it together. And like any other 1/4 inch seam, now that those are together, I don't even need to pin it. Why? Because now it's a 1/4 inch seam. So I'm going to pull this whole beast, it's so heavy, up here. I'm seriously needing to pull the whole thing up here. All right. I don't want to block the camera, but this thing is going to fall. Okay. Whole thing is up here. I'm going to line these two edges up now. Now that they're cut, they should be perfect. Literally perfect. I'm going to put my 1/4 inch guide on for now because I don't want to switch my feet twice. So I'll put that guide on. And now my needle should come down right at that junction because now I can see it with my eye. Put the needle in right there where that last thread comes out. And I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam down these. So I'm going to come stitch forward once, forward, back, and sew the 1/4 inch seam. Everything lines up, everything's together, the ends are meeting perfectly. Everything is perfect. 1/4 inch seam all the way down. And I'm telling you, they line up just the same no matter which way you do it. Everything lines up. As long as you're measuring. Okay, so this one was cut after the fact. So lay it here. I'm going to just use my finger to finger press the seam, and I'm going to show you right now how this one came together. So here's this one without even being pressed. So again, there's more than one way to do a miter. These match up. This right here, it came out right where it was supposed to. They come together perfectly. There's not a bunch of bunchiness right here. Even that end, this one came over just a little bit. You can see that a hair, like literally a hair different right there. But there's another mitered corner. So there's another way that it can be done as well. Yeah, there's so many ways that it can be done, right? Let's find another corner. All righty. telling you, this thing is so heavy, guys. That corner's done. Okay. Here's the other way. Open both of these up, open them both up, open them both up. The other way, again, lining these up. Making sure all this stuff is sticking out. We're going to come right here, lining this up, creating a V again, or a triangle of some sorts. Lining down the sides. I'm really hoping this is clear enough video quality and direction enough for you guys to know exactly how I'm doing this. Just lining these edges up. Everything should be accurate. It doesn't seem to be wanting to fold where I want it to fold. So if you have to adjust things, adjust things. All right. I have myself a triangle in my direction right here. Everything's nice and flat. All the way mostly down. Okay, nice and flat. These should be laying right on top of each other. This time I'll make sure my piece is sticking out properly. Fold my seams towards me. Here's the next way to do it. Everything's nice and flush, nice and flush, nice and flush. The next way to do it, and we need that 45-degree angle right here at the top, and then a 1/4 inch away, lining it up on this part of the triangle, lining up the top of this 45-degree angle. Everything's nice and flush. On this fold, instead of marking a line, we're coming away from it a 1/4 inch. So this is going to be like the last one, but this is another way to do it. Is to fold it like this. Line up your 1/4 inch away from the whole entire thing. Make sure that 45-degree angle is lined up. Everything's nice and folded down. Everything's lined. Cut. So that's the other way. You don't have to do one piece at a time. You can do them both at the same exact time. So again, you're probably saying, oh my God, that's so stupid. But again, I'm just going to, now I have a 1/4 inch away. I know where my spot's supposed to come in. We do the same exact thing. Actually, I'm going to have to start from the top on this one because I don't feel like flipping it over. And I'll stop my needle when I get down to it by holding it. Just holding the whole thing. Trying not to let the heaviness of it fall too much, but my needle is going to come and I'm going to stop and backstitch at where those two junctions are. Right, keep going, 1, 2, 1. Right there, backstitch. To it, backstitch. Okay, so here's another one. Open it up. It should lay nice and flat. So again, we're going to lay it right here. I'm just going to finger press it back a little. And I know you guys are wondering, how in the heck did I learn all this? Well, let me tell you, it took a long time before I actually got all this correct, because I told you guys from the beginning, I wasn't very good in the beginning, like at all. I really sucked. So a lot of this stuff is, I did watch a single video on mitering corners. One, and then the rest of the ways I do it is just of trying different things. There's a little pucker right here. It's not actually because it's puckering, it's because it's the backing is the whatchamacallit folded. So here, this one you can see is up just a little bit higher right here. It didn't match as great. See? But this junction, let me put my thumb in it so you can see, came together perfectly. Look at that. No open seam at all. Can't even tell. If you know where to stop your needle and start it, it's great. And then the back side obviously looks like poo, but that's because there's a lot of seam coming together from joining diamonds, so you can see. And most of the time, I actually press these open This is the only seam I've ever pressed open on a consistent basis when I go to press it. That way it equally distributes the mitered seam, especially when you come right here to the edge. But this is the only one that I've consistently always pressed open. Other than that, I never press open seams. You guys know that. So corner number 3. All right, let's find corner number 4 and do it with the pencil marking tool way one more time so you guys can see. Since we started with pencil, we'll end with pencil. So again, this one is leaving all this excess on. We're going to fold it up onto itself, creating a nice straight line right here and right here. And I really can't go too far down. In reality, you should go further down, you know, further down the quilt, lining it up. But I, unfortunately, can't get as much on my table. And a lot of you can't either because we don't all work with really tight spaces. So again, we're going to line this up. Everything's nice and flush. Nice and flush. Nice and flush. So this is back to the first way where we mark with a pencil and put tons of pins in it. And I don't think any way is more accurate than another. I'm going to fold the seam right here under that. Just like so. We are going to start sticking a ton of pins in it now. Hold it together. Just as many as you possibly can fit. Don't put it anywhere near where you're going to be drawing and sewing. Put them on both sides of where you're going to be drawing and sewing. You just want it to be nice and flat for now. All right. Let's throw one more in there. All right. So now we're going to do the same thing with the ruler. I don't remember where I put that pencil. Oh, there it is. We're going to take and line the ruler up on the 45-degree line across this top, like this. And then we're going to line the other end of the ruler down along this fold that we have created. So it's along the fold and along the 45. We're going to take our pencil, and I'm going to angle it inward a little because a pencil end, oops, that was not supposed to happen. A pencil end kind of sticks out further, so you don't want to sew on the line if the pencil line is out that way some. So I'm just going to angle my pencil line in so that I'm drawing on the edge. And the pencil will come out, and I'm drawing all the way to my line. Okay, it's already marked. Move my little thingy out of the way, and I'm going to sew on this line. Let's get this whole thing up here. Everything's pinned, so it should be staying nice. And sew on the line. I'm guessing for those of you who are new trying a miter, that this would be the best way to do it as a newbie. Making sure you draw that line, sew on the line, stop or start at that top tip. I mean, I've been doing this a while. Like I said, I put mitered borders on a lot of things. You guys would be surprised how many mitered borders I actually do. I don't show it in a lot of my videos because my videos that I'm making with you guys, I try to stick with beginner. This is, if a beginner wants to try this, it's actually not that hard. All right, I'm going to come right, oops, that was not supposed to happen. Back it up a little. I accidentally pressed back on my pedal. Right up to it.
Teresa said they should start with a baby receiving blanket.
Yes, if you're going to start with something at all, do a baby blanket. That's definitely exactly what you should do. So when you sew on the line, let me get back to this now. Before you cut that back away, see, I did it 3 different ways so that they could see.
Okay.
Before you cut that back away, open it up.
That looks awesome.
Make sure that it matches before you cut that back away. If you want to make sure, because if you need to unpick anything, you can go ahead and unpick. So everything looked good for me. Just going to line it right here. Take my ruler 1/4 inch away from that seam that I just sewed.
Hi, Teresa.
And cut this away. So that's all off. And now we have 4 mitered corners. Let me bring you guys this to show you without even pressing it first. So there's this one. This one matches up a lot better. And see, I know it kind of looks funny with the diamonds because of the way they lined up, but I don't think there was going to be a way around that. But again, right here at that corner of the miter, let's see if I can get it close. See, everything is together. There is no separation in that seam. It's perfect. It is very hard to get that perfect seam, but if you start that stitch, see, this end stays open like that. It's not connected, but everything is connected through it. See? So, and then that's how you know to just go ahead and press the seam open. So let me press these real quick. Let me turn the camera so you guys can see. The guys are in here. One has a shirt and one doesn't. Ow, son of a fucking... Ah!
Do you need help, honey?
Oh, I just hipped the corner of my table. That's one thing about a big table, guys. Oh, that fucking hurt. Sorry, excuse my language.
Pardon her French.
CJ, put my iron in, please. Oh, that hurt, guys.
Here,
Okay.
let us help you. What do you need help with? Let us help you. What do you need help with?
Oh, I just need to
Here.
press this seam open.
Okay.
I had to get backwards.
We can help. We can help.
Did I hit myself?
I don't know. You want to sit down?
Oh, it left a mark. Ooh, that's gonna bruise.
You want to sit down? I can help you.
Oh,
Tell me what to do.
I need the iron hook in.
So you did that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna press the seam open now so they can see. So I just go with my fingers, guys. Split the seam. Most of you know. I'm just splitting it with my finger first before I take the iron to it. Right down it. Your finger actually helps hold it in place. You just rub your finger across it. Just split it open. Grab the iron. Place it on top. Make sure the point of the iron is at the point of the seam.
Are you dancing in the video?
Yes, he is. It's nice and open. There's another border going on, and I'm going to stick with you guys with the last border. That wasn't supposed to happen.
See? That's where another set of eyes comes in.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
You sure?
Yep. I got to press this from the top real quick.
I could have redid it.
Okay. So there's one mitered border. So flat, so square.
That's pretty. I like that.
Okay. Now let's go to
I
the
even
next
like
one.
your colors that come together there.
Another. I'm just gonna do it this way.
See, I like how you have the colors. Oh, you got that. Danger close.
And go like this on top of itself. It's no big deal. Fingers pushing it out. Just don't iron your fingers, guys.
Yeah, that would hurt.
I've done it a zillion times. I'm very known for burning myself. Okay, once it's pressed open, flip it to the other side, get rid of that wonderful crease that I just created.
I don't have my fingers either.
And move on to another one. That one's done, this one's done. Let's go this way. My hip is killing me. Yeah, I can't iron Scott, guys. I try not to do that.
It is beautiful, yeah. She does a great job. She knows what she's doing.
All right, so this one got extra. I had to accidentally sewn the seam in. Actually, I'm gonna cut this away just a
Yeah,
little.
you can cut a little of that off. That's what I was just going to say. Just cut a little
That way
off.
it's not so bright underneath. Yeah, I accidentally got folded under when I was doing it, when I was sewing the seam.
Well, see, they need to know little mess ups and how to fix them.
They saw the mess up.
That's what it teaches. That's teaching. That way, when they mess stuff up, they know how to do it their own self.
Now there's so many pieces, I don't know which one was what. It's going to be in the quilt, guys. It doesn't matter. Inside the quilt.
Well, exactly. If it's underneath, yeah, no one's going to notice it. Watch your fingies. Watch your fingies.
I am watching my fingers. Now let's get rid of that crease that I just created because I'm just going totally off my norm, but I'm doing it. Okay, and one more. And then I'll have Scott and CJ hold this up as best as possible, and I'll tip the camera up so that you guys can see in full before I attach the next border.
CJ, before you play another round, we're going to hold this up for Mom. Did you hear that?
There'll be still photos, though, in the group for all of you that are in the group.
We're gonna
Anybody in the
before we
group can
start
see
another
all
round.
still photos.
Put it up so they can see.
But I'm still going to stay here long enough to add the next border, so I just got to cut that matted.
Okay.
All right, unplug the
Standing
iron,
on the
please.
board. I was standing on your board.
Let's move the board over there where it goes for now. Just temporarily as far out of the way as possible, because that should be good. All right, boys.
I'm not sitting on anything. Okay.
Here's one end for you. I'm going to turn the camera up, guys. And one end for you. Just back up as far as you can. As far as you can. CJ, you come this way, right here.
I'm into the wall here.
CJ, come on here.
This is about as far as I can go. You want them to see the corner, though, right?
Yeah. Hold on. I'm tipping the camera, guys.
I'm holding up.
All right. So, let me get out of the way. There's one. That's CJ's side. And then Scott, tug on to where you and CJ are pulled nice and tight. There you go. There's side 2, guys. And the other sides are on the floor. So that's what it looks like across the top. Don't mind the light behind it, obviously.
I'm trying to cover it.
It shines through. That's why.
You want me to turn it off?
This thing is enormous, guys. Like super enormous.
There we go.
Back up a little, CJ, or hold it up tighter. Yeah, there you guys go. So let me tip the camera down while it's opened. So there's some of it. So that's the whole thing, and you can't see the sides right now, but that's pretty much what you see on the top is what's on the sides and the bottom. So let's add that next border, guys. Yay.
What's the next border color going to be?
Hold on, let me tip this down so they can see.
Orange.
Not orange. The next border is, let me put this up here so y'all can see.
Y'all.
Let's lay this nice.
Damp stripe.
So this is the border so far.
Like that.
Reach under here.
You know, Hank Jr., country boy can survive. You know how to hunt, you know how to fish.
And here's the next one. This is what it's ending with.
Shelly says it's beautiful. Shelly knows.
So it's ending with the one that
Pamela
kind
says
of
it's
looks like,
breathtaking.
yeah, I kind of can't see from here. The one that
That's
has,
what
it
I'm
looks like
thinking.
seaweed almost, but it's actually flowery leaves.
Hold it up.
So the whole idea was behind this was to make it look like it's Mariner Star, making it look like it's out at
Ocean-y.
sea. Ocean. It's supposed to be
It's an ocean
ocean-like.
theme.
So
It's an ocean theme.
I'm just going to throw the big quilt on the floor, and I'm going to cut these borders, guys.
See, it's actually flowers, and it's really cool looking.
So
I
that's
know our
what's going
cameras
on last.
are not always the greatest here.
Oh, here, let's do a quick fold in half.
Vicky says it's fantastic.
It's completely.
Aunt B says it's stunning. See, they love it, honey. You're doing a
I
great
know
job.
I love it.
Teresa says beautiful. Pamela said it's nautical. Yes, it's nautical.
Nautical, that's the word. Thank you. It couldn't come out of my freaking mouth. There I go with my bad words. Here, hold this in real quick. We're going to get a half measurement and then add the 2 half numbers together.
Just this how you have it folded?
Yeah.
Okay.
Grab this in. Hold it at your corner. I'll hold this at my corner.
I do know how to use tape measure, my love.
All right. What is 57 1/4 plus 57 1/4? And that's not,
114 and a half.
so it is 114 and a half right now, guys. So I need to go 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4.5 should work. That puts me over 117, and that's where I need to be.
Remember, you can't go
16,
over 120. Give yourself some room.
So I'm going to be at 118 exactly.
2 inches is going to be enough?
No, I'm cutting this at 4.5. I'm going to lose a half an inch.
Okay.
And then I'm going to lose a half an inch when I put the binding on. So it'll be a 4-inch completed border. So it'll be 118 exactly.
Pamela says great minds think alike.
Oh, on the nautical?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't get it out.
Yes.
So let's make sure I had enough yardage of this. I did. Okay, I think I got 2 yards of it. Yes, I did. Look at that. I'm not even going to press it. because I'll press it when it's on. We're going to cut.
Our trip to Joanne's paid off.
Oh, yeah. Now I know why I got 4.5. Hold on. Let's see. I have 2 yards. We're going to do some math here, guys, in my brain with Scott's help because he might be able to get the numbers faster than me. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I need 13 4.5-inch strips. So we what? Divide that? Where's my phone? Right?
No, wait, you need 13 4.5-inch strips.
Yes.
So once you times that, 13 times 4.5, what are you trying to get?
How much yardage I need? I did it at the store, but I didn't think anything of it.
Okay, you go 13 times 4.5. That'll give you your
13
inches.
Times 4.5. I need 58.5 inches, and 2
Okay.
yards is how much? 36 and 36.
2 yards.
I have plenty.
Is 72.
Okay, I have plenty. All right, guys. So we're gonna cut 13 4.5-inch strips off of my 2 yards here.
Cyrus, you should have been here for doing the math.
Right? He needs more math.
Plus, he's good at math.
That's why they need this in school. This one is definitely in math. This needs to be taught in schools. All right.
Tell them how you knew you needed 14 or 13.
Is that
whatever.
how they asked? Did they ask that?
No,
Oh,
I'm asking.
So
'cause I
how
don't
you
know.
knew why I needed? Okay, first of all, 108 inches is 3 yards, 36, whatever. The width of a strip is between 42 and 44 inches, depending on your fabric. I go by that 44-inch number. I go down by 40. So I go 40 plus 40 is 80. And then a third strip is, what's 80 plus 40, 120?
120.
Yeah,
yes.
120. This right now is at, what is it? I said one. What is it at right now? 114
114
and a half.
and a half.
Okay. So I went beyond by 108 by using it in the yardage manner, if that makes any sense. I'm thinking in my head yardage. So each side is 2 strips is a small quilt that's like, 80 inches or less. I'm going by, this is bigger, so it needs 1, 2, 3 strips connected together on the top and then the 2 sides. But the reason why I got strip 13 from that is because when you add 2 sides, now it's wider. So your top strip and your bottom strip need to be wider. So I add an extra strip for that so that there's half of that top, you cut it in half of it goes on the top, and the other half will go on the bottom, equaling it out. So Scott asked a good question for me to explain that to you guys. So there we go. That's how I get my numbers. You can do it by a calculator, obviously, but I just go by because of the fact that I've made so many large. I
had no clue how you
I'm
figured that out.
100% large quilt making. That's my favorite thing to do is make the big, huge, as big as I can get them quilts.
And B wants to know what size this one is. Is this a California King?
Okay,
It's just a regular
I got to
king.
tell you guys, the difference between a California King and a regular King is I don't have no clue. I just know that one is elongated and wide, and one is just wide and wide. So I'm thinking California King is like a regular mattress. Hold on, let me get the cheat sheet. Okay, because there's also an Eastern King. An Eastern King mattress is 76 by 80, so it's not much bigger than a queen size bed. So that must be some other country. A Cal King and Western King are 72 by 84. That's the mattress size. So an average quilt for a Cal King and or Western King, an average quilt for a Cal King is 120 by 105. So it's not as long as it is wide, unless it's shaped a different way. I don't know.
Teresa says the
And
California
Western
King is
King-
longer than wide.
Western King, the quilt would be 105 by 120. So it's just a matter of turning it. This one's completely square. This quilt is being made completely square so that there can be some at the top under the pillows if they want, or they can hook it at the top and it'll hang over the bottom really nicely. It's being made completely square. That's on them, however they lay it out. But that's what it says these measurements are. I got that online from an actual measurement site, and then I had to go to another quilt site, which average quilt sizes for a bed that big. I actually make them all at least 10 inches bigger, because you also have to think of overhang. overhang is not usually included in these inches, because when I made my queen quilt for my bed, I went by this 90 by 90 and it doesn't hang over enough on the side. So if you add 10 more inches, it hangs over perfect. So whatever you find online, like full and queen, it's the same size. You know, and these are just for regular twin, long, full, queen, Eastern king, cow king, and Western king. They're all, that's my cheat sheet. I keep it written down. I have a queen, so, and all the beds in my house are queen, actually. All right, so I have this lined up on a line. I have it folded in half twice. So I'm cutting 4 strips at the time, and I need my weight. Okay. We're doing 4 strips at a time, and they're going to be 4.5 inches, and we're going to quick hook them together and attach them to the quilt real quickly. You guys can hang out while I do that. A lot of work is going into this, let me tell you. Okay. And I need 13 strips, cutting 4 at a time. How many cuts do I need? I don't know. All right. Oh, it didn't cut right there. I must have so many gashes in my cutting mat that... Oh my God, it didn't come off. Must be a gouge right there from cutting the same spot over and over and over. And right here. Look at that. That's why it's good to clean your mats, guys. All right. 4.5 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Put there. Put that there. Make sure the half is good there. Cutting 4 strips at a time. So there's 4. Five, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 1 oddball to cut. Yeah, I do my math and measurements way different than everybody else, because I kind of just do like estimations, honestly. If it works, it works. It don't, it don't. But I still do accurate work, if that makes any sense. So there's 12, and now let's open this up and cut 1 4.5 inch strip. And I could save this towards the binding. I'm just making, actually, this one's going to get a pieced binding on it, by the way, guys. I know that kind of seems weird for what I'm doing, but, ooh, I need to straighten that edge up. I'm going to do a pieced binding with all the leftover stuff. Everything that's left over is going to be making binding. Because I don't have enough of one fabric left over for that, unfortunately. But it's still fun to do that. All right, 4.5 is my 13th piece. I don't always use the weight when I cut just one piece. It helps with multiples, but, and this is kind of folded up, but it's being sewn on, so it don't matter. All right. I use an eraser Vicky. I actually take a big eraser to the whole entire mat, and then I wash it. I start with hot water so it gets all loose so that you can get inside of it, and then I rinse it with cold water, and then I put it out in the sun to dry for just a little while. Probably like, I don't know, 10 minutes. It dries pretty darn quick. All right, I'm going to cut my selvages off real quick. I'm just going to line them up. There we go. There's one. They weren't like totally laying on top. I hate that when you go to the fabric store and they're not laying. I mean, it obviously is never flush, but you have to make it all flush. That's why I pre-press all my fabric usually. I didn't pre-press any of this, but all my own personal fabric that didn't just directly come from the store gets pre-pressed. Okay. And the rest of these on the line, get it on the line, get it on the line right there. Okay. Get them all stacked and chopped. And if anyone's curious about the fabric that I've been using in this whole process, it all came from Joann's. Every last bit. There's like 3 different brands of fabric that Joann's carries. That these are. I mean, they carry more than 3 different brands, but there's 3 different brands that are in this quilt. One of them, out of all the fabrics, one is a batik because I could not find that light blue color in any brand. Like, they did not have the perfect light blue color that I needed, so I used a batik for it. But other than that, everything I've used has come from Joann's. Even the white on white. So some is country classics, some is the ones, the keepsake calicos, and then a couple were something else. And let's get this last 2 on here. I'm just going to cut all these at once and get all the salvages off. I've been doing it this whole time. It usually comes out pretty darn accurate. Oh, Country Classics was the other brand. Well, that's not long enough. But they all come from Joann's. So if you have a Joann's near you, you can buy everything I just made this with. But most of you aren't going to be doing this one because you said it seems too hard. So you get to watch me do it. While I make myself a big disaster on the floor. I have so much all over the floor right now. Close my blade and let's sew these together. So when I do this for borders, I'm going to sew them all and hook them all completely together. Okay, I know that seems, oops. I know that seems weird, but I tend to sew them all together, which I'm going to do right now. This is the fun part. So I take the first piece and put it down. I grab the next 2. Flip that one underneath. Oh, shoot. I need my foot on here. I need this to be accurate. I'm going to sew all these together in one big long strip. And what I do is I'll start sewing them on from one end, sew it down until I trim the other end. Then I'll sew the other side, but I'll grab the fresh non-cut side. So that way the seams end up in the same place across the whole quilt. I know it seems kind of weird, right? But you'll see in a second how I do this. So I'm going to start by changing my foot out. So I have that one piece. I hook these 2 together. Then I'm going to grab these next 2. Right sides together. They're already right sides together. Bring the whole thing this way. This is like, you guys wonder how I get stuff done so fast. That's because I take all these little extra ways of doing things. And I bring the whole thing next to me more, grab the next 2 pieces. So weird, right? But it's smart. It's cute. What the heck happened here? I must have had a fold. I'm going to make sure that they all line up. I might have to trim it all down. We'll see in a minute. Take the next, slide it, grab 2 more pieces. They're already right sides together. Line them up. Stick it under. Just adjust it a little. Nice and straight flush line. Think I'm weird, don't you? Take the next 2. They're already right sides together. This is fun the way I do it. Take the whole pile, the next 2, hook them together. They're already right sides together. Next 2. Go on, stay. Next 2. next. So this definitely gets added to the tips and tricks of the next way to sew something. Oh, grab the next two. They're already right sides together. And the last two, and there's going to be one left. You don't need to sew that to anything. Guess you really got to watch my videos to learn all these weird things that I do. I'm going to unsnip them all. And ready? I'm going to grab this end so that you guys can see how this worked. Where did it go? There it is. And ready? It's all hooked together now. And it's all right side the right way. The correct and accurate way all the way down. You see how that works? And I didn't have to leave the table or move anything. I just stacked it all up. Pretty cool, huh? So everything's together. I did have some whatever problem with the thingy, but I'm gonna lay this whole thing next to me and I'm just gonna start sewing it on. If I have some kind of funkiness, it'll be on the outside, and when I quilt it, it'll be okay. So I'm gonna lay this right here behind me for now so that it stays. It's all hooked together. I'm not pressing it. I'm gonna grab this big, huge monstrosity. Just gonna start with one side. I'm just gonna let it all hang off the table. Not really. I need to bring my ironing board back. Hold on. There we go. You want the weight on something. This is so heavy. Okay. So I know I have dog ears. I'm leaving them. Why? Because I can. Grab this end. No measurements needed. Why? Because I'm going to sew it right here. I'm going to sew the other side on. And you'll see in a second how I do that again. I'm going to back stitch. I always back stitch on borders. The outest border, especially when there's a lot of borders. The other one has back tacks in it to hold the miter together. All right, right side together and sew. Sew this whole side on. Keeping it nice and flat on the way. Obviously, most of this should be flat now. Everything should be nice and straight. There's a lot of weight folded right here. Oh, I can't really tell what that says. Okay, nothing's new. All right, line it on here. It's like marathon sewing today, guys. And I still have to make the quilt back. But I think I'm going to come back later to do that one too. Just for those that want to know how to piece together a quilt back for a really big ass quilt. Because remember, my backing needs to be at least 4 inches all the way around bigger because it's going on the long arm and I need some kind of like wiggly space, you know? Room to maneuver and test my tension and all that. Remember, I didn't press, so this will just fold. When I go to iron the whole thing, then all this will fold back the way it's supposed to. I should have mitered this, but I see no purpose. It's a really busy print, so it's not going to matter how it's sewn on. And my whole pile of the big long strip that I just made is sitting next to me on the floor. This is why you know that there's no reason to really have to pin this. Everything lines right up. I mean, you can do it the accurate way, but the way I do it and flopping both sides, you're sewing down one way. So if it shifts one way, you're going to the other side of the quilt to sew the opposite way. So it's going to shift this way and this way. Either way, just like when you do jelly roll strips, if you know, to prevent any kind of bowing. It's opposite no matter which way. So when it's flattened out with the iron, and then you're oppositing the top and bottom when you sew it on. So technically it 100% still should lay flat, whether you pin it with your accurate end-to-end measurement and or do it like I do and just lay it on and sew it on. Every time it comes out flat. I haven't had bad bowing except for quilts that are on point. The only ones that I get really bad bowing with is on point, and that's even still cutting it the proper way. I don't know why they come out that way. They just do. But I always get some kind of bowing. When I do big, huge quilts like this, sewing the borders on like this, I never have a problem. Okay, coming to the other end so I can show you how this works. All right, so I'm got the whole part on the table. It's nice and flat. I'm going to pick this whole thing up. I'm going to put it wrong sides together on top of itself, lining up this end right here with the end right there. So it's right sides together. I'm lining up. Everything's nice and square. I'm going to use my finger to just make a slight crease in it. I do this with every quilt, guys. I'm going to cut this end off right here. Stick my fingers in that crease that I just made. I'm going to keep this end on my lap for a second, and you'll see why. I'm just going to keep it right here on my lap so it's out of my way. I'm going to back stitch right here at this end. All right, and now I'm going to find the other side of the quilt. So that's one side. I need this. So let's throw that over that way because I need the whole opposite side. So, okay, that part that I just cut off is on my lap right here. So you can tell because there's a seam right here. You can see that seam. I don't want this end. I want to now go all the way to the other end. You know why? Because it's flat. So both sides of this quilt top, the seam is in the same position. Because now it's starting like this. So let's get it right sides together. Oops, that's the right side. Start it right here at the top. I mean, they're not exactly the same position. They may be off by an inch, but they usually lay at about the same spot. All right, back stitch right here and sew on down. And I'm going to do the same thing. Once I cut this end, that one end is going to start, because now both sides are exactly the same on both ends, at one or the other side, and then I'll flop it to the other side so that same exact seam that pretty much ended on the other one meets up with it. That way it's equal. I know I'm weird, right? Just the way I do it. It's easy to me. And you can just keep going all the way around as well too, but then you're going to have an open edge at one corner of the quilt and it's going to look weird. I used to do that in the beginning when I first learned. I didn't know any better. Yes, I speeded my machine up. I need it to be faster. It's going too slow for me. Borders take barely any time to put on, but these seem like they're taking forever. Such a long seam. Is anybody having barbecues or anything like that today for the holiday? This is how I celebrate, by accomplishing the rest of a quilt that needed to get done. Okay, so I'm almost to the end. I'm going to do that same procedure. I just want a little bit of the end exposed. Flip it on top of itself. Roll it to about right where that end is. Crease it. Everything's nice and square. Use my scissors and cut it. So see, it's nice and flush. There's both ends. They're flush with each other. I don't know. I just find that way easier. I lost my quarter-inch seam right there. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn it one turn. I'm going to find the other end down here. I'm going to finger press this open, and when I get to the other end, I will finger press that before I get to it. Just going to finger press it open. That may mainly this edge right here is finger pressed. It's nice and flat, nice and flush. I'm going to find that. It's all stuck underneath me now. Ooh, it's a magic trick, guys. Oh, I found it. Look at that. Now I'm going to start this right here. I'm going to back tack. Everything's nice and square, just the way it's supposed to be. I'm going to speed sew on down. I have a hankering for anything from the grill, but no one invited me. That sucks, Pamela. I know, I kind of want barbecued chicken, or like, I don't really want steak, and chicken's the best, so I want barbecue chicken. Some chicken breast. I just realized my seam kind of got sucked in right there. It's this foot doesn't allow it to go over seams. Like, see how I have this right here? I can clip that off if I want, you know, on all four, but it's just the bunny ears, or rabbit ears, or dog ears, or whatever everyone wants to call it. I just call them dog ears usually, or rabbit ears. Oh my goodness. See? Barbecue chicken sounds delicious, doesn't it? I'll leave my glasses right here so that I can look even closer to me. So that I can pick them up to see. Nice and flat, nice and flat. Hey Justin, are you still there?
Oh, I just worked shut.
Ask next door if there are any leftover barbecue chicken. Grill on the cob, grilled corn on the cob and baked onions. I don't think any of my neighbors are barbecuing. I don't think any of my neighbors are doing anything. I don't smell it at least. Well, I guess Justin left. I'll ask you later when I talk to him. So have any of you made a 120 inch, because it's pretty much 120. It's 118, literally, it's right there. Has anybody ever made a 120 inch by 120 inch quilt? Out of curiosity? And if you're not watching and you're right now and you're watching later, tell me in the description, or I mean the description, in the comment box. If you have made a king quilt that's 120 and 100 by 120 or bigger even. I'll have to look at all the receipts later. Between the backing and the top fabric and the receipts, I can look how much yardage I've actually put into this whole thing. To give you guys all a general idea of how much yardage is actually here and the reason why it's so heavy. All right, I'm coming up on this right here. And I'm going to finger press this end when I get to it. Next door wants me to bake for her. Hold on. Ask next door. Okay, no, that's it. No, my largest was 115 by 115. Okay, Teresa, so you have done a big, huge one. Neighbors aren't that nice. So Pamela doesn't have nice enough neighbors for barbecues. Vicky's next door neighbor wants her to bake for her. Why? Why does she want you to bake for her? Like for a barbecue? Baking stuff for a barbecue? Like prep work or something? Or does she just want you to bake for her as in make food for her? Okay, I'm at this end, by the way. I'm not stopping my talking, but I'm at the end. I'm finger pressing this last seam back. I'm going to cut these little dog ears off just because that way they go into my machine and I don't lose that darn 1/4 inch seam. All right, I'm just going to line this up, come to the where the rest of it is on the table, flatten it out, fold it on top. It's the same procedure over and over. Roll it, create a nice straight line right here, and cut it off. And then I'm going to lay this on my lap because I'm actually going to use the other end for the other side. Come to the end, back stitch. Now, let's find the last side right there. Now I have this turning big, huge mess. And then I'll press this whole thing and just show you the edges. I'll lay it out so you can see after I press it. Okay. So again, I'm just making sure at least where my seam is going to be. I'm going to take this and come all the way to the other end. Ooh, does that even look long enough? It does. I cut 13 strips. 13 strips should be plenty. Like literally just enough. With like 5 or 7 inches to spare. That's just me guessing. Oh, I didn't see somebody else has joined and I can't see the comments up further. Hi, Sandy. Let's see. Hey, Sandy, is your mom? How's your mom? How's your mom, Sandy? Vicky, trying to go see mom again. I've been working on a ring. Did your mom get her surgery yet? I was way earlier probably, so I'm assuming she did. I bake. Oh, she wants baked goodies. Okay, Vicky. I'm working on fine back up there. If fine, I would have her go. Give her the side eye. Going. I'm too sick to cook. Yes, I would be too sick to cook too. You don't feel good. Why would you want to cook for someone else? Of course, why would you even want to cook for yourself when you don't feel good? All right, let's sew this on. There we go. Told Nick to get a sandwich. Yes, I slowed it down. I slowed my machine down. Yep, I actually did that. It was a little too fast. The table was just moving away from me. I think this is kind of too slow though. It's like hard to get that perfect not vibrate off the table speed. Almost done, and then I'll press it. And then I will take a break for a while and come back later. Let's see. 5:10 here now. So as soon as this is done and I press it, I'll get it pressed and then take a final in half measurement again. And just because I need to know for the backing. And then I'll come back later, probably 9:00 p.m. my time, to create the back. And that's if I, get to it. I'm pretty sure I will because, like I said, I'm going to go live off and on all day today, which I've already done, until this is complete and ready in all of its pieces. The batting is already ready. This is pretty much going to be done, and the backing is the only thing. bobbin left. I haven't changed it. It's kind of weird, and I'm using a really small stitch length. Now that I said something, I might have to change it soon, because I've already went around this thing 4, 5, 6. I went around this thing like 7 total times since I changed the last bobbin. Oh, hello, Margaret. I didn't see it. The comments are getting too high for I can barely see them. Just turn in your Mariner's compass. It's a Mariner's star, but same thing. It's the center is like a compass. She's doing good. I'm going to put my shoes on. Where's she gonna see? She's got doing good. Going to play while you're gone. Glad she's good. Take care. Hug Sandy. Talk to you later. Husband's chemotherapy doctor tomorrow, so I'll probably be. That's okay, Teresa. It's gonna be watchable later. Like I said in the beginning of all today's videos, if I didn't pay attention to the talking and stuff and I was just kind of sewing in anything, it's just because I'm recording the process to make it as if it's a regular video, because I didn't want to have to edit. This is going to be this would have been a lot to edit. So I just wanted it to all be on, and be ready, and just be done. So. All right, I'm almost to the end. My fabric must have been more than 44 inches, or at least more than my normal 40 brain thought. There's quite a bit left, it looks like. Unless I didn't do all 4 sides yet. I don't know. I think I did. All right, I'm going to finger press this now that it's on the table. I'm going to cut away this dog ears. So just a little bit more until I'm right at, got the whole thing on the table. Line it up, hold it onto itself. So I only needed to cut 12 strips, not 13. But I was on the safe side, and the rest of this can go in my 4.5 inch extra square band. Yay! Just make 4.5 inch squares out of it. So yeah, I have an inch and a half. I mean a thing and a half left. Strip and a half. All right, let's press this thing. I'm just going to turn the camera just a little. Give me a second to come over and turn the camera. There we go. That way you can see the whole pressing of this thing.
Oh, you want to bet? You need help in here?
I'm just going to press it real quick.
I heard you saying you couldn't read all your.
Oh, because it was going up. I can't see once it goes up to the top. I'm just going to press this back. Remember, I never pressed any of these seams, so I'm just going to press them as I go. But because this is a darker fabric, I'm just going to press it back. Can I have a water for the iron, please? Water for the iron, please.
Here, let's use this one up first. Then we'll put that one in.
Oh, I will, but not yet.
Okay.
All right. So this is what it looks like with its next border. See, if I would have just went straight with this border only, you guys see that difference right there? It would have been bland with just this. So adding this 100% separated the whole thing, you know? So let's just get this whole thing pressed all the way around, and then I will hold up a corner to show you what it looks like with the quilt itself, because I don't have the boys in here now. Here's another seam. Again, it wasn't pressed, so I'm just going to make sure it rolls the way it's supposed to. I'm just going to steam press this whole thing real quickly, like, and it lays really flat. Seam right here. They're all going the way I want them to go. See, this you can't tell with no mitered corner because it's such a busy print. There's no knowing the difference. So, and it kind of sealed this off to keep it from splitting if it ever did split, you know? Nice. And you guys know I'll still have to 100% starch this thing like crazy. Starch it really, really good when I get a chance to get all these wrinkles out before it goes on the long arm, but that's right before it goes on the long arm. So that won't get done until I can go in the garage and have a big, huge floor to lay out the whole thing to spray starch on it, because I don't want to spray it in the house all over the living room. And yes, all this yanking and tugging is not very good for this thing. But on the other ironing board, it would have been horrible, because that other ironing board, it, what's the word for it? It stretches at the curve of the ironing board, and it yanks down, and it just ruins quilt tops. Big time ruins quilt tops. And remember, still shots when I can actually get them will be in the group. It's going to probably be, I have to just adjust everything on the living room floor to lay it out because it's kind of huge. And I don't think, when we were putting the first border on, it was taking up the whole space that I would normally lay a king size quilt. So, and this is white, so I don't want to take it outside and lay it on the ground in the gravel. Not until the whole thing is quilted. And I'm not quilting it anything specific, just so you guys know. It's just going to get swirls and feathers, and it's going to get just a little bit of randomness throughout the whole quilt, because the design that's in the book, I really don't like it. I think it looks dumb. I'm thinking it's more for people that are hand quilting. I'm not hand quilting, I'm long arming, and I don't want to follow some other people's quilting pattern on the quilting itself. I'm doing my own thing as per my customer wanting me to do. She likes the way I do things, so. She doesn't mind that I am a heavy quilter. I prefer to quilt heavily. I got all four sides, I think, already now. No, I did not. One more time. Last side. If it looks funny right here, I know you can see that there's a little boo-boo in the fabric because it was folded. I didn't press it first. That's the importance of pressing first, but that'll get hidden. Once I quilt and trim everything up, it will be fine. All right, let's press. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to throw it on the floor, and then I'm going to pick it up and show you the corner. All right, so let's show you guys as much as I can hold up. All right, and there's its finish. So now you see why I did the two separate borders. It doesn't take away from anything, you know? It looks fabulous, fabulous. I'll bring it close so you can see. And again, your guys' favorite parts of this thing, let's see if I can get it up, is that wonderful, beautiful center. And I'm not tall enough for this. There we go. I'm too short for this, guys. Too short. Okay. That thing is like, I don't know, probably at least 15 pounds, but when you're holding it above your head, it's really heavy. It's actually probably more than 15, but who knows. All right, guys, so let me bring this corner up one more time, just so you can see the two borders. So it ends with two. It looks so much better with two instead of one. Technically, it's four borders. So, because it's 1, 2, 3, and 4, but who's counting? All right, so I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me while I put the borders on the Mariner Star Quilt. And I appreciate when you guys hang out with me. That's done. I will do my best. I'm going to try for sure to be back later to build the backing. Which I showed you guys last night, are these two colors combined. So that will be in the backing of the Mariner Star. So I'm going to try to be back tonight, later, to show you guys how to piece backing for a quilt that's, it should be 118 by 118. Right now, it's finished. It's done. So, all right, guys, I'm going to rest for a little while, take a break, have some fun, eat some food. Or just not do anything because my belly kills me right now. It's just, and my hip hurts. Like, it's bruised. Go figure. I hit that darn corner. Like, literally, this is so dangerous. I need one of those old people things, like the cap for the corners. So you don't, so it doesn't, you know, kill me. Could you imagine like a kid running into something? That's probably why those things were made, but. Ooh, all right, guys. I will see you all next time later on today. If anybody you were here, for those of you watching later, thanks for watching. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe, like my videos, all that same thing that I say every time. So I'll see you guys later. Bye. Oh my God. Get over there, mouse. There you go.